Hey everyone. So today I am really excited because we're going to be doing a bit of an experiment. Since I specialize on historical plucked instruments like this, the rather large theorbo, I thought it was about time that I tried out some historical strings. Up until now, I've mainly used synthetic string materials like nylon, carbon fiber, and Nile gut. But today, we're going to string up this 14-course theorbo with all real gut, and then we'll do an A and B sound comparison to see how it affects the sound. So, gut is a type of string which is made from a natural fiber found in the walls of animal intestines. And string manufacturers tend to use sheep or goat intestines. Sometimes you hear it referred to as catgut, but don't worry, it doesn't come from cats. The term catgut probably comes from the term cattle gut because sometimes string makers used the intestines from cows, horses, or donkeys. For most of history, gut was the most common type of string material for guitars, lutes, harps, violins, violas, cellos, and more. So now we can understand that famous line from Shakespeare's Much Ado About Nothing. The character Benedick hears some musicians playing, and he says, "Is it not strange that sheep's guts could hail souls out of men's bodies?" It's important to realize that gut strings were common until surprisingly recently. It wasn't until the early 20th century that steel strings on guitars became popular. And that was partially just because they were trying to compete with banjos and mandolins. Meanwhile, nylon, which is the most common type of string material used for classical guitar, wasn't invented until the 1940s. Okay, we are all strung up with gut and in tune. And I have to admit that I finally get that joke about lutenists spending half their life tuning and the rest playing out of tune. It took me quite a while, but we are all strung up and ready to go. So let's do our first sound comparison. We're going to start with a simple chord progression, which is a famous ground from the Baroque period called La Folia. Now let's hear the difference in the context of a piece. This is a really nice Chaconne by Divisé. So my first reaction is that I'm totally blown away by these strings. I think I didn't expect to like them so much. There's a warmth and resonance to the gut strings that synthetic strings, in my opinion, just don't have. Especially when you play close to the bridge, the gut strings still are resonant, whereas the synthetic strings can just sound sort of plasticky. Another big difference I'm noticing is that the long bass strings don't sustain as long. They're wonderfully loud and resonant, but the decay is quicker, which actually I prefer because in solo music, often you're playing scalar bass notes And if they sustain for too long, they overlap and it can get a bit muddy. So I'm just having so much fun getting used to these and hearing how they change the quality of this instrument, which I know so well. They're still quite new, but I'm already kind of sensing some serious pros and cons. In terms of the pros, I think they just sound much better. There's this warmth and resonance that I think you can't get with synthetic strings. Another one is that they're historical, and there's something really cool about knowing that I'm playing on the authentic strings that someone 400 years ago would have used. And lastly, I love that there's less sustain, so that in general I can work less and it sounds cleaner, actually. In terms of the cons, the first thing is that these are actually really expensive. Just this low bass string was like $40, and so it's a bit of an investment. Also, because they're gut strings, they react more harshly to humidity changes in the air, which means you just have to accept that you'll tune more often. And lastly, I don't know this from firsthand experience yet because these are new, but I know from my colleagues that, especially with these higher strings here, they go false over time, and so you might have to change your strings more often. Okay, so there we have it. I think I'm officially a gut string convert, and I'm going to have fun restringing my other instruments in gut, including, I think I'll even try out my classical guitar and see what that's like. I'd love to hear from all of you to find out what you preferred. Gut, synthetic strings, did you even hear a difference? Let me know in the comments. So thanks so much for watching. I hope you found this experiment to be as enlightening as I did. And I hope you subscribe, and please do check out my Patreon if you want to help me make more videos just like this one. See ya.